on to the mounted arm triangle or mounted katagatame, just to make things a little bit more simplified for people. This is one of my highest percentage finishes, and if you ask a lot of my training partners, they'll be feeling this on a regular basis when I train no-gi. Now, what we're looking at is we've gained the mount situation, and now again, as we spoke about in terms of your finishing mechanics, I need something flush against my partner's throat, and then I need to bring his scapula up so his shoulder's fitted into his neck on the other side. So we have this type of pressure here. So, dropping it back to her. Let's find that out. Now, when we get to the mount, the first thing we need to look at is raising an elbow. Doesn't matter which side, but I need to force some form of opening so that I can bring his elbow up, okay? Then also what I need is that clean grip of his neck, you see? So I need to have one arm underneath the neck here. Just reach this way. So, when I get into the mount, I always prefer to cross my feet. One, it makes the half guard much harder to retain, and it keeps my weight down through my hips. So it's almost when I get to the mount that I'm actually lifting my knees off the floor, you see? So I can really drive, and then I compensate my knee to whichever side my partner's turning to. If you want to grab a frame, go with your right arm underneath my hip line. There's a good chance there. So this is like a typical good position, you see? This arm here, right? Now, what I'm doing is I'm taking my middle finger, not to swear, but to grab his armpit, you see? So I want to be almost like I'm tickling his armpit here and make that grip. The next thing I need to do is lift this elbow up. So I'm just going to use my wristwatch, just like we did with our pinning mechanics, put it underneath his elbow. And then I pin this hand to the floor. I gain strength from the ground. So I've got to make sure that I use this to walk forward. So I'm walking my hand on the floor here to lift this elbow up to get to the position. Now when we talk about arm triangles, the thing that I need at this point are two main grips. His armpit and his head. You see? This is what I'm going for when I'm looking to finish my arm triangle. So I'm walking the hand up towards the top of the head. There is going to be resistance here. Keep your elbow tight. You see? This is why I slowly inch. And then there'll be variations of this inching, going from the Incy Wincy spider walk to a little hopping type situation, and then keep it tight. So walk, 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 get up so far, then from that point, all I'm going to do is straighten my arm, keep resisting, you see? So right now there's a bend in my arm, I keep his armpit locked in, and then I start to straighten my arm. What that does is bring his elbow in line with his head, and then I can bring my shoulder underneath and continue walking through. I get towards my partner's head, you see? Once I've got his head, what I'm doing here is turning Tyrone's head into my shoulder. You see? What I want him to do is be looking that direction. Because if he's looking in that direction here, his neck will open up and it will give me an easier finish. You see? If you see from there, go back, look back towards your left. When I twist Tyrone's head, I'm pulling his chin out of position so that my shoulder can easily get underneath it. You see? So I have this from here. Now once I've got to this point, I'm going to put my hand back on the floor. So once I've moved his head, I've got his chin pointing in the line of my shoulder. I post my hand on the floor and I straighten it again, just further bringing this elbow across. You see? Now from this point, while I have this there, I put my chin the other side of his arm. You see? So I'm just going from here, chin, go back again, straighten, chin. I use my chin to hold it in place, only for a split second until I replace it with a C cup. Okay, go back. Straighten, chin, grip. Elbows locked in towards the floor. Now what I need to do from this point is lower my shoulder. Because if you look right now, my shoulder is in his cheek. You see? And that's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to put him to sleep. So what I need to be able to do is drop my hips back. So my hip will drop and my shoulder drops. Now you should just be able to see his chin. Once I'm there, my head buries into his armpit, so it's my forehead, going towards the ground. And then from this point, my shoulder is underneath his chin, and I'm not trying to go forwards. You see, if I drive on this line, I'm going to make my partner 2 inches taller, but I'm not going to choke him. You see, I'm going to drop from this point. I can connect my hands. If I do connect my hands, I open my elbow on the same line to prevent my partner from bridging in this direction. You see, try to bridge toward you. You see, that elbow is worked as a post. If it's tucked in, bridge. Now I lose top position. So open, shoulders in position here. My ear is making a constant pressure to drive into his tricep to keep his arm on this side. Again, forcing his shoulder into his neck. So I lock, shoulder goes in, connect the hands, open the elbow to post. Last thing I need to do is sprawl. So I drop my hip onto the right side. What this allows me to do is get my shoulder even lower, and now my head will bear it, you see, coming up towards the top of my partner's head, and all I've got to do from this point is squeeze. And again, there isn't much strength involved with this. It is just a slow contraction of my bicep, really occluding the space, and then finishing the choke. But what I'm looking to do is get super tight on my partner from that point by slowly making incremental improvements. You see? This is not a one shot to a finish. It is lock him in, extend up, turn his head, get his arm over to the other side, bury my head, connect my hands, and then I'm making slow progress into that finish. Again, once you understand it, then I can really go through these stages very, very quickly. But at the beginning, slow them down and drill them one by one. So there we go. So, mount situation. Let's go towards this side. My arm is underneath. I'm trying to get my shoulder flush with his neck. My hips are down and my feet are connected. I get my forearm or my wristwatch underneath his elbow. Palm on the floor, begin to walk. Resist here. Good. Extend. See? Once I'm extended at this point, I straighten my arm. I bring that arm all the way across. So I have opposing positions. This keeps here. I use my chin to lock in against his tricep. Replace your chin with your thumb. And now once I'm here, now I need to drop my hips. So my hips move down and my shoulder drops underneath his chin. Once I'm there, my head buries towards the armpit, connect the hands, and drop onto the hip. Now, the only thing I have to do at this point is squeeze. Now, the reason I'm not stepping off to the side control is because I give a lot of the defenses by moving away from the mount. My partner wants to put me into half guard, or wants to put me into, or find his escapes once I step off into the side control by moving into a lot of different scenarios. So I stay in the mount position, I keep him flattened, and then I slowly put the pressure in for the choke. And of all the variations of arm triangles that I've seen, this is the cleanest choke and the one that I have the most success with. Anything else where your coach will tell you to jump off into side control and rip his neck up off the floor is going to hurt your partner, but it's not necessarily going to put them to sleep. So we have to find those acute details to really get the finish.